chowder.
Hello, Naomi.
Hello, Nina.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So, I want to talk about. Well, I'm not even going to say what it is yet. I'm going to set the stage, and then we'll flow into it. I posted a video on Facebook of the little trick that I do with Travi with handkerchief, where he picks up the handkerchief, and I profusely reward him for it with my voice and with my happiness and my happy face, and of course with a lot of treats, because that's an equitable arrangement. And why he loves to learn things, because he feels it's a very fair exchange. So I posted this on one of the pages, and I was very heartwarmed. I got a lot of smiley faces and little hearts and likes. One person commented, and she said, "Yes, I spoil my horses too." It was weird. I felt like the whole point of the video had been missed about the way that Travi and I were communicating at the level that we were communicating, and that she just zeroed in on one thing, which was obviously
The treating.
the treats, yes. And it broke my heart, because I see how much work we need to do in reframing people's ideas and attitudes, that people would equate giving food reward with spoiling someone. Please, weigh in.
Yeah, I mean, you have to give them a high value treat or something that's going to be valuable to them if you want them to work with you or work for you in most cases. If you were an employee, you wouldn't, you had previously said you wouldn't accept praise as compensation because that doesn't have value to you or doesn't have nearly the amount of value you would need to work for someone.
I'm sure you would walk right off that job.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't? Oh, great job, Nina. Like, well, how do I eat with great job?
Exactly.
How do I fulfill my needs? Well, the same thing with a horse. Just because maybe you, as the human custodian, are fulfilling all of the needs for the horse, that's still your decision to be a horse keeper, and shouldn't mean that the horse now has to do everything for you that you want with no extra compensation. Right?
Yeah, and it's the base expectation of anything that's transactional in our culture. If we're trading money for labor or if we're trading goods and services, if I am giving something, I'm going to expect something back of equal value, or else you're just gonna look shisty to me.
So here's the thing though, I think the argument that we keep coming back to when I try to play devil's advocate is, well, I'm paying, as the human custodian, I'm paying for the horse for his food, his lodging, his medical, his extra nutritional needs. I'm paying for all those things. So he needs now to come out and do cute tricks and take me for a ride and jump over jumps or whatever it is that I want to do.
Which, for one, is an irrelevant argument because the horse never chose to do all those things. And two, that's also kind of an abusive mindset. I feel like I hear that kind of rhetoric in like abusive relationships or over controlling relationships where one person is like, I do this for you, therefore you owe me this, even if you didn't ask for the thing that they did for you.
You bring up a very funny point. Hopefully my mother will not be offended that I'm going to say this, but she would call out for something like, girls, go get me a whatever. And we'd be like, but we're watching TV. And she goes, why do you think I had you?
Oh my God.
So she was joking because she adored us and we were her life. But every now and then I felt there was a little bit of truth to that, to where a parent even feels like, I'm paying for everything. You need to do X, Y, and Z to fit into this family mode. You need to do this, that, and the other. And makes for a lopsided relationship. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you're a child and there's an adult and it's a father or mother or child situation, it's one thing. I think it's that lopsidedness is acceptable. But a horse isn't a child.
Yeah, and I honestly think as a parent, you should never have a child if your purpose is I'm having a child because I want one because of what they can do for me. And then if they're not going to do that well enough, it's going to wreck your relationship. You should only be having that child if you're like, I'm creating life and who knows what that's going to be, but it's not for my specific purposes. And I think it's the exact same with horses. I don't think people should go purchase a horse with the mentality of like, how is this animal going to be of use to me, and buy the horse for that reason, because it's its own independent being with its own life going on, and it has no choice with the fact that you're purchasing it. So it should really be like, I want to have this co-experience with this creature. Maybe I'll get a lot out of it, maybe I won't, but either way, that's kind of, you know, the horse's business, what they're going to do for you, what they're going to be willing to do for you, and that's their choice.
Also, too, as the equestrian, if you don't keep an open mind as to what that horse is going to be able to do for you, you're going to be buying and selling and getting rid of a lot of horses.
Yeah.
Because just because I saw this all week, it was like a theme on Facebook this week, I bought what was supposed to be a bomb-proof trail horse, and it's not. I saw at least 6 posts like that.
I saw one that was like, oh, I bought this horse that was supposed to be good in every environment, but the horse will only behave on the trail.
So here's the thing. I have the same answer for all of these people. How long have you had this horse? How well do you know the horse? How much of a relationship have you built with the horse? You're depending on a relationship that was built with somebody else. Yeah, the horse was probably amazing for that person. No, I don't think they lied to you. I think you're lying to yourself, thinking you can just buy a horse like a mountain bike and go ride up in the trails. You have to make a relationship. The whole idea between a horse and a human is to create this high level of this wonderful, special intimacy to where you build this trust, to where you can do all of these cool things. You don't just go out and buy one for a specific need and say, oh, here, this is my trail horse. It was trained to go on the trail, and that's what it does. Well, I'm sure it did it just great for the trainer, but if you're not going to put any time or effort into the relationship, you're probably not going to have that good trail horse for that long.
Yeah, and I think even beyond that, if the horse is never okay doing certain things, like if this horse only ever wants to be on the trail or only ever wants to be in the arena, I think it's messed up to just be like, okay, well, you're not exactly what I want, so resell. If the horse wants to be on the trail, then ride the horse on the trail. Like, if you don't have to force it to do something that it doesn't want to do just for your own sake.
It would be like, I remember when my husband and I got together, a mutual friend said, oh, it's never going to last. He's too indoorsy and you're too outdoorsy. So, you know, that's the thing with a horse. Like, oh, I want to jump and you can't jump. We can't have a relationship? No. I'm sure you can find another horse that you can jump. But we have a commitment to each other now, and we have other things that we can relate on. We can relate through and bond through. You know, when this horse over here, which I don't know if the viewers can see the horse or not, sometimes she'll poke her head out. Her owner actually said, when we were looking for a horse for her, at one point she just realized anyone will do. Because I have to make the relationship. I have to bond. Anyone will do. And we'll see where it goes from there. That's a great attitude to have for getting a horse.
Yeah, and I think it's like, honestly, it's like if you were to adopt a child.
Yes.
Like you cannot like
Perfect.
just return to sender if it's not what you want.
Perfect.
You made a commitment, you assume the responsibility, and you have to see it through no matter how that animal is going to turn out.
And no matter what road it takes you down, if you can just look at it a little bit more spiritually, maybe through this animal you're going to find some completely different path, like I did with each of my horses. Each one of my horses was nothing what I thought that I was going to do with that horse did happen with that horse. But it took me down some incredible new adventure that I didn't even know was waiting for me. Those people that are so stubborn and want to stick to, well, I can only do a certain thing with horses and I'm going to find one that I can do that thing with, they're really missing out.
Yeah.
Really missing out. Okay, so let's go back to the spoiling with the food. So, where does that attitude come from? I'm giving you a food reward, which we all know is a huge part of positive reinforcement training. It works for all species. Why did it start to be, I'm spoiling you?
I don't know, because I feel like it should be a base level expectation. If you are working with a horse and training a horse, it essentially is a transactional relationship. You're asking them for something, and then they're giving it to you, and then you're providing them with some sort of compensation. And so I feel like it should go without saying that that compensation should have value to them. Or why are they working for you?
So would you think, if we were talking about say, training tigers or killer whales, are they saying, oh, you're spoiling them by throwing them the little tidbit of meat or fish or whatever it is? No, I don't think they use that. Why is it always with horses they get the short end of the stick, and that everything has been reframed for them to not be sentient creatures and to not be creatures deserving of kindnesses and extra? To me, they're the one species out of all of us who has been the most generous to another species, us, and helping us build our civilization, and we owe them everything. A few little tidbits, I mean, that's nothing for what they've done for us.
Yeah, and I think certain people look at it different ways. Like people like you will see all the amazing things that they've done for humanity and say, wow, they deserve the world. Other people look at them with this exploitative mindset that is such a part of our capitalist society, where it's just like, how can I get the most out of someone? And there's that expectation and that audacity that you can just take from something and you're owed it. It's like,
it's an entitlement.
Yeah, and there you go. It's an entitlement mentality that you are owed these things that they are giving you. And the reality is, you're not owed anything from the horses, and anything they are doing is a gift.
It's a huge gift, One to be, my feeling personally is, say we have 8 of them here, that I will indulge them with whatever I can on a daily basis to pay what I feel is a karmic debt to all horses everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand these people who are in these, like, I hate to say it, but it's a lot of these, it's a lot of Western rodeo type, the umbrella of Western rodeo type area where they feel that giving food rewards is coddling the horse, or, oh, cookies, they're giving cookies. Yeah, it is a cookie, it's a little round thing, it's a cookie, but that is something of value to a horse, just the same way one of those people will go home and crack open a beer. Like, that's nice for you, the horse likes the cookie. What does he get for his efforts for the day?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you think just because you give him dinner and some water, that should suffice? He's going out and doing your bidding all day, winning you belt buckles and trophies and money and what have you. And oh, he gets dinner, the same dinner he gets every night.
Like chicken and rice.
Yeah, exactly, the same boring dinner they get every night. And that should be enough? That should be enough for them? Are you serious? It inflames me. I'm inflamed even thinking about it. And it was so innocent with this lady to say that, oh, I spoil my horses too. She wanted me to know that she felt a kinship with me because I was being kind to my horse, where really, was I being kind or was I just being fair?
Yeah, and that's the thing, is it's not, it's like a fairness, I think it's a base expectation. Or it should be a base expectation whenever you're working with any animal. Like, why should they work for free? Why should they have to work for free?
So I wanted to mention one more thing before we wrap up today. There's an equine nutritionist out of the UK. Her name is Claire McLeod. And recently I wrote a little post about Claire's, I thought I had it here that it saved. Let's see if it did. I'm going to try to remember it as well as I can. It's about carrots and how I feel the carrot has been villainized, and not just by dominance-based trainers and the rodeo crowd and those people, but even by veterinarians who, say, oh, that horse is too heavy, you should get no more carrots, or that horse might be prone to foundering, so it absolutely should not have one single carrot. Let's think about this logically and realistically. And I have Claire McLeod, who's an equine nutritionist and a nutritionist, to back me up on this. How do we look at carrots for our human existence? Are they kind of look like a diet food?
Yeah, it's all natural from the ground.
And yes, they're sweet and there's sugar in them, but do you know they're mostly water? It's a very nice, wet, moist, watery treat, packed with vitamins. It's got to be one of the best horse treats out there.
It's also something that would be in their natural diet, which means that they've evolved over the past thousands and thousands of years to eat that food and survive off that food. Root vegetables would be probably a cornerstone of a wild horse's diet.
Yes, a root vegetable, exactly. But isn't it funny, the one thing, like, where you think about horses and the branding of horses, you think of, like, Oh, the shape of a horseshoe, unnatural. The whip or the crop or the spur as like a little, if people do jewelry and whatever.
Like
Yeah,
a cute
totally
thing.
unnatural. The carrot, which would be something, again, probably many horses could find in a natural setting. They're trying to call this an unnatural, an unhealthy food for a horse to have. To me, that is the epitome of this over-controlling push towards wanting to preserve dominance theory-based training. Almost like this desperate death rattle for dominance-based training.
Anything that might be enjoyable to the horse should be off limits. Anything that's going to cause them pain and suffering, totally fine.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's upside down world. Like everything that could make their day a little bit brighter or happier, there's someone out there right now on the internet telling you, oh, you're a snowflake and you're coddling your horse and, okay, princess, and, your horse isn't a poodle. No, your poodle is probably getting treats and probably getting to go to a hotel with you and all kinds of upgrades that a horse still hasn't seen.
It's such a controlling mentality, and I feel like that mentality is always birthed from like fear and insecurity. It's only when people feel weak and small that they have to like overexert control and dominance.
Okay, so I know we did a whole roundabout again, but let's wrap up by saying that food reward, also known as treats, maybe there's a problem right there, that we call it treats. Maybe we should even try to watch our own words and not call it treats.
Yeah, it's not birthday cake, it's a reward.
It's a reward. It's payment. It is currency. It is something of value that you can trade with the horse. It's currency. So I think that we all need to start watching our words more and starting to think about how we frame things and the far-reaching aspect of when these things are framed a certain way.
And they say words shape how you think about things, which is why
Absolutely.
It's not great to call, farm animals livestock, because it allows people to sort of think
of them as food.
Yeah, in a different way.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I think calling it a treat is a problem, actually. It's a problem. It should be called a food compensation, a food reward, food currency, anything but a treat, because there's so many people out there that for whatever their hang-ups are, they wouldn't dare give their horse a treat. But maybe if we can call it what it is and call it, again, currency, maybe people would relook at it, take a fresh look at giving their horse a food reward from time to time. One can only hope. Naomi, thank you.
Thank you.
And we will see you guys next time. Hey, hit the subscribe button.